Hello and welcome to another landscape photography challenge video. You may remember a few months ago, fellow YouTuber and photographer Chris Sale got in contact with me and we decided to leave our normal lenses behind and go out and shoot with lenses that we wouldn't normally do. So for me that was a long lens and for Chris that was a wide angle. It was a really interesting challenge. It got both of us to think a little bit differently about our landscape photography. If you want to see that video, I'll pop a link up in the corner of the screen just now. But I'm always looking for new challenges, so I was really excited when Chris sent me this message.
Hi Julian, I'm currently at Ullswater. I'm just out having a little look around. There's not an awful lot of light going on tonight, so I'm just taking a few snaps with my mobile phone here. And that got me thinking, you're pretty well known for shooting with a Nikon D850. In some people's eyes, the best DSLR that money can buy. But you and I both know that it's not the camera that takes the photograph, it's the photographer. And I reckon if you went out with just your mobile phone, you could still come back with a really, really good image. So what do you think, mate? You up for a bit of a challenge?
Well, of course, there's only one response when you get a challenge like that, and that is, I accept. So it's going to be a really interesting challenge to go out there and take some landscape images using just a mobile phone. But I don't want to be the only one doing some work here. So I've sent Chris a message back saying, I accept his challenge, but I also expect him to do the same. So we'll be having a look at Chris's results later in this video. So just before we head out onto the location to start the challenge, let's talk about the camera I'm going to be using. So obviously I'm going to have to leave behind my precious Nikon D850, breaks my heart, but I've got this, the OnePlus 6 mobile phone. Now I've only just got this phone, it literally just arrived a few days ago. I've unboxed it, but I haven't even taken it out to take any pictures. But I didn't actually buy it for its camera. I needed a new mobile phone anyway, but you know, I have other cameras to do other jobs. I didn't buy it for its camera capabilities. However, it is a brand new phone, it's just on the market. So it's got a modern camera in it, it's got a Sony sensor in it, it's got like a fixed f1.7 aperture, 16 megapixels. So the camera itself, and it shoots DNG, so it shoots RAW, should be more than capable of capturing a good image. So I just need to have a good composition, so that's up to me. And then obviously a little bit of luck with the weather, and hopefully I should be able to capture a good landscape image. So I guess without further chat, why don't we head out onto location and let's get this challenge started. Hello and welcome to Dartmoor, where this evening I'm going to be doing my mobile phone photography challenge with my OnePlus 6 phone here, and we're going to shoot Bowerman's nose. So it was a bit of a risk coming to Dartmoor this evening. I've been checking the weather forecast all day, trying to be as optimistic as I always can be. But it was forecast to clear up just before sunset. There's going to be a little break in the cloud, down to about 50% cloud coverage. And I thought, well, I think it's worth the risk. It's never a bad idea coming up Dartmoor. I love coming up here. I mean, just look at tours like that. I mean, that's quite amazing. It's quite something else. Now, if you remember, I was here with Gareth Danks a few weeks back, so remember to check out his video and see how he got on. I'll pop a link up in one of the corners there. But it's a really good time of year to come to Dartmoor, and specifically Bowerman's Nose. Everything's really green. We're at the height of spring, so everything's fresh. There's lots of plants growing out of the ground. All the surrounding hills are green. The trees are all green. It's looking really good. Now, there are some just slight hints of the sky breaking up there. It's not quite as grey and overcast. I can see bits of blue up there. It's still quite hazy in and around here, but I'm getting little pockets of light on the ground, on the surrounding hills as well. So why don't we start and we'll get the camera set up and I'll talk you through some of the potential compositions that I'm going to do here. Okay, compositions. Let's talk about composition. Obviously, I've come to Bowerman's Nose, so Bowerman's Nose is going to play a big part in whatever I shoot tonight. Now, in terms of foreground interest, there are lots of things to look at, or including your composition here. There's some really nice rocks down here. They've got lots of that spring green grass and flowers on them, so they can make for interesting foreground elements, leading lines, just to add a bit of interest. But as we walk back through the scene, obviously Bowerman's Nose got to be the biggest element in any of the pictures. Now, one thing you'll notice here is you've got this kind of edge down here. Now this is where light becomes critically important for this photograph. The sun sets, if I turn around, sets over that direction. Now if I get some good light, that means that that side of Bowerman's Nose there will be bathed in some golden light, and that will really lift the image. That will really take it from kind of being a flat grey bit of stone into something a bit more three-dimensional. So that's really important. I've got all this, and then I've got some of the surrounding hills over here as well, and over here. And if I get some nice light on those, that can really lift things as well. So as I said when I was talking about the camera's all very well, but without good light and good composition, the scene could fall quite flat. So let's get the camera on a tripod, and I'll talk about camera setup. Okay, let me quickly talk you through how I'm going to set the camera up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got it in Pro mode, and what Pro mode does is just allows me to set some of the values manually. So this is a native camera app. So I've got it set for taking it off auto ISO and put it onto ISO 100. This will allow me to maximize the image quality. I've got it set to RAW here as well, so I get a nice DNG file to process later on. I've got it on 3-second timer, so I can take a picture and then take my hands away so I don't get any camera shake. And I've got it in the native aspect ratio of 4:3. The shutter speed at the moment is set to automatic, but if I find that I can't get the histogram here, for example, without any clipping in the shadows or highlights, I can maybe take control of that myself and set that value. But that will depend on the scene and as the light changes throughout the evening. And I just hit that, and it does the countdown timer. And that's the picture taken. Okay, I'm ready to take my picture, I think. I've talked a little bit about composition. I've talked about camera setup. It's really now just a matter of being patient. There are some nice breaks in the cloud over there. Not over there, unfortunately, but that's just always the way, I guess. Hopefully the good weather will move this way a little bit, and it'll allow me to get a good shot, because as I said, you know, light is going to be critically important for this shot. So I hope Chris is having a bit more luck than I am at the moment. I guess, like I say, it's just a matter of being patient, and I'll talk to you again when there's a shot to be had. Okay, I'm going home. I give up. I surrender on this challenge. Well, no, hang on a minute. Not quite on the challenge. I'm just giving up for tonight. It is showing no signs of clearing up. I was quite optimistic earlier. There were some nice breaks in the cloud, and I thought maybe, just maybe, but it's not turning out like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here on another night with some better conditions. I'm going to shoot the picture, so don't go away. I'll see you in just a few seconds, in fact. Good evening and welcome back to Bowerman's Nose. So yes, I'm back here at Bowerman's Nose. It's only a few days later, but what a difference a few days makes. As you can see, the conditions are significantly different than they were the other day. Perhaps they've actually gone a little bit too far in the opposite direction. So now I have got completely clear blue skies, and it's a little bit windy, which I'm less worried about. I would have hoped for a bit more cloud in the sky. But what hopefully this does mean is that I will get some nice light off the side of Bowerman's Nose. Sorry. It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen. I'm about an hour away from sunset. It is very clear up above, but there is still a bit of lingering haze throughout the hills here. So I'm not sure what's exactly going to happen as the sun starts to get near to the horizon. But I'm going to work the scene. I'm going to get the mobile phone out, get it all set up, get that OnePlus 6 phone ready to take some pictures, try and find some compositions that are going to work well with this light, and fingers crossed we're going to get a result tonight. So let's get to work. Okay, so I've been taking pictures now for about sort of 20-30 minutes, but perhaps the biggest challenge is dynamic range tonight. I've obviously got a very bright sky because it's quite clear, and then that's quite a bit brighter than the foreground where Bowerman's Nose is and the rest of the ground. So I think the OnePlus 6 is kind of struggling. So I've been trying to balance things with a single exposure, but I think, and I've done this for a few shots now, is I'm taking 2 exposures. One exposed for the foreground, one exposed for the sky. Now, this is not something I normally do. I'll just keep taking shots. I'll try to keep taking some single frames. I'll take some bracketed exposures as well. And we'll just, probably not until I get home will I work out which one the best image is. But I think I better get back to it. That sun is just about down. So I've positioned myself out here because I think this is probably going to give me the best shot this evening. Get my tripod set up. I've got facing straight onto Bowerman's nose, and I've got the sky there. The sun's at a right angle to me, so that's probably going to work in my favour. Just going to tighten the tripod up. That's about 1/125th. Take the same shot. And that's that done. So I think that's probably going to be my best shot. But like I said earlier, I really don't know until I get home and I post-process these, because I haven't actually seen what any of the images look like coming out of this camera. So I don't know how much leeway I've got in terms of dynamic range. So it'll be interesting to see. The sun's just about to set behind the bank of cloud there. The nice light that was on the side of Bowerman's nose is just starting to fade now. So I think I've got a couple more minutes and then I think we'll be done. So as you can see there behind me, the sun has now set, so I think it's time for me to go home. You know, tonight it's been challenging, but hey, you know, that is the point of a challenge. It's to go out with a mobile phone to see if I can capture some pictures. But that is it. It's time for me to head back down to the car. I'll see you back at the office. Hopefully I'll process the images by then, and I'll put them up on the screen and we can have a chat about them. And we'll hopefully see what Chris got up to as well. That should be interesting. I wonder if he's had any better luck. All right, I'll see you back home. Okay, I'm back home now and I've post-processed the image that I'm going to talk about. So let me pop it up on screen first of all. Okay, so I've made a print of the image as well, as you can see. So, I mean, overall, I'm sort of reasonably happy with it. A couple of things in the composition that maybe I would have changed. I think this rock here is a little bit distracting, and perhaps a little bit more headroom there above Bowerman's nose. But sort of overall, not too bad. So let's have a chat about how the camera performed. So how was the camera to use? Well, it had its plus point and its bad points as well. So on the plus side, it's obviously very portable. I can move about a scene really easily and take different compositions and see what things look like. It's got, even in the native camera app, it's got, you know, the controls, the basic controls that I'd want there, so I can change its shutter speed and its ISO. So in terms of sort of basic pros, yeah, it's not bad. And now for the not so good stuff. And this is really where the challenge started coming into its own. It was having to use a camera phone is really challenging, especially when you're used to using something like the digital SLR that I normally use, the Nikon D850. You know, even at ISO 100, looking at the images in Lightroom, they can be, you know, a little bit mushy. They lack that kind of crispness and detail that you'd obviously get from a digital SLR. But you know, you have to compare the sensor sizes. They're a million miles apart. But for me, really, the biggest challenge with shooting Bowerman's nose was actually the differences between the shadow areas and the lighter areas. The dynamic range, even with shooting those DNG files, it was really difficult to get a balanced exposure. Obviously, again, comparing it to something like a Nikon D850, which has massive dynamic range, I really struggled. So that made it difficult for me, and that in some ways limited my compositions as well, because I was trying to avoid including some really bright areas of the sky. So it was definitely challenging and definitely interesting to use. Now, as I said in this video as well, Chris is also undertaking this mobile phone photography challenge as well. So I would recommend that at the end of this video, you go over and check out Chris's video, and there'll be a link in the end screen and in the video description below. But Chris has sent me his image, so I'm going to pop that up on the screen right now. Right, I've also made a print of Chris's image, and you can see it here. It actually looks not too bad. I actually quite like the composition. He's obviously been having a cracking morning there. There's some real nice colour in the sky. I like some of the foreground interest he's got here, and the way things go off into the distance and the nice reflections in the water. Overall, it's a pretty cool image, but I think Chris did have some challenges with his phone. So like me, I think Chris wasn't let down by his compositional skills as a photographer. He certainly has some good light. I think what let down the image, and you probably only notice this when you look at it closer in Lightroom, you can't really notice it as much on the print there. But when you go out to the furthest away mountains, they're a bit soft. There's some ghosting around the edges. So I know Chris shot this on a Samsung Galaxy S8, and I think he shot it in RAW as well. But like me, I think he's found that the RAW files aren't up to that much. I think, you know, we are kind of spoilt with our digital SLRs, so looking at these images in detail, kind of for us, because we know what we're looking for, has highlighted some of the potential limitations. And as landscape photographers, we're shooting not in bright daylight, we're shooting first thing in the morning, so we're really pushing the sensors of these cameras. So yeah, I know Chris had the similar issues to myself as well, but I think in terms of composition and the photographing, I bet if he had his digital SLR there, I reckon he would have got a stonking picture. So I really like what he's done there, but as with me, it's been a challenge. Are the cameras in these mobile phones today not very good? Well, no, I don't think so. I think the fact that Chris and I have been taking them out in some very challenging conditions and expecting them to perform as well as our digital SLRs, that's why we notice some of these limitations, I guess. You know, when it comes to having a bit of technology in your pocket, these camera phones are actually pretty phenomenal. If you're out and about and you're taking pictures of the kids or holiday snaps, they can do wondrous things. And of course, if you're shooting in JPEG as well, the processing that these camera phones have in can really lift and enhance the image. But I think as a tool, you know, I don't think Chris will be the same. I don't think either of us will be giving up our digital SLRs anytime soon. So overall, I really enjoyed this challenge. It was great fun working with Chris on this. You know, even though I didn't get any really special images, just, you know, anything that gets me outside, using my camera, being out in places like Dartmoor is always going to be welcome. It's always a bit of fun. And that was the whole point of this challenge. Just a bit of fun, see what Chris and I could get up to. So I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do consider hitting that like button. And please do leave me a comment. I do try and read and reply to everyone's comments. And if you also did like this video and you perhaps might want to see some more, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you do, remember to click on the little bell icon beside it. That way you'll receive a notification as soon as I post up a new video. But until the next one, I'll see you then.